Part 5 of A Very Happy Christmas. Oh wait, oh shit. No, nope. Dang, you can't go there. Whew, set your ass on fire. But no, we arrived at Central Park, and apparently Daniel's son pretty much skipped out on him. Now, how he got there, I don't know. Maybe he walked, he caught a bus or train or something. But he's there, and we realize that Eve is here in Central Park. So we gotta try to save him, maybe, perhaps. I don't want to spoil anything. But no, yeah, I saved it because I have no idea what's coming up now. But Central Park is pretty much the kind of really the only section in day 2 that we actually do something. As you guys can see now, I'm doing the battle system. I don't think I actually explained the battle system. Should take some time now to actually explain it while we're walking through Central Park. Pick one. I don't know. Pick one. But no, the as most RPGs, and I say most because there are exceptions, but around this time most RPGs had, they had their random battles, but it was kind of like off screen and it wasn't as seamless as it is here, which it's the same model, and it's not any like chibi model and then goes to like a proportion model. All of the kind of battle is in real time. We have to wait for our kind of active time gauge to fill, as in such games as I know this came out later, but like Vagrant, I remember a Vagrant Story having something like that. And other ones will, Final Fantasy soon kind of sort of adapted after that, but then we have something I actually didn't explain, which is Parasite energy, which Aya has the ability to do different. That's essentially our magic. And a while ago, I acquired the ability of slow. Actually, and there's things you can level. Once you level up, you can get your active time gauge to refill faster. You get obviously more HP. You get more parasite energy, as you see that, and then you can also use because we get this thing called battle points, or we get these points afterwards too, that we can use to upgrade weapons. We can also increase the item capacity that we, as many items as we can carry. And we also gain the ability. What else we get with those battle points? We can also use them in armor too. But yeah, we gain such abilities also too. We gain things along the way. I do need to specify right here is that you have to go up against this. I spent about the excess of an hour or so. I spent a long time trying to look through here and find the key to it. Now it kind of molds into the background, but if you go up against, where is it? I know we need a key, but I would just say just kind of, it's here. But no, you have to get this the zoo key in order to unlock certain areas. Yeah, you go in that corner and just mash A until that actually happens, because otherwise you'll be stuck here. You'll be stuck in the zoo for a very long time. And I think at this moment too, I don't know why. Well, it's only 2 HP, but yeah, if you run out of items, we can discard them, or we can store them in chests that we pick up and things like that. But definitely early part in the game is very critical as you do item management. If this is your first run through, then it's kind of not as big of a problem, because you know, you're just taking whatever stronger gun, using your tool, doing all that. Actually, the weapon system is it's deep, but it's not too deep where you can't, you know, it gets all crazy with the things like that. It's actually pretty simple for the first game. And we are introduced to another kind of new enemy type, which they are called monkeys. I don't know, just evil monkeys. I would say their weakness is kind of mid to short range, because if you stay any longer range, which I don't do a good job of staying within my weapons range, which is that kind of wire dome that expands over top. Now, different weapons give different ranges. I know a rifle is like the greatest of all. I don't know what the hell it is. I guess it's a game. Which is the greatest, you know, of all. And then there's other weapons like a grenade launcher. You know, it all just depends. It all just depends on what weapon you have. But for the most part, you'll be using the handgun for, I would say, 70% of the game. And I should also actually spend this time, I think, you know, the part's not over yet, to actually talk about the different abilities that we get throughout the game. Now, in this part alone, I've already gained 2 abilities. One is Detox, which is kind of like our antidote, if you would. Certain enemies like these poison snakes, and I don't think the monkeys do poison effects, but anything poison status, you know, we can just nullify. Now we'll take a turn, because you know your active time gauge fills. You either give the ability to use your weapon, or you can use magic, or use an item, or change a weapon, which also counts as another point, you know, as a turn. Now, some weapons like the pistol that I have now, which is carried over from my previous game, which allows me to use 2 commands. So I could, you know, shoot 6 bullets, you know, 3 per turn. I could switch an item with 1 turn, use a weapon with 1 turn, use Parasite energy with 1, you know, so on and so on. So if you see that ability for a gun, I would definitely suggest that you use it, because it is quite helpful. And like I was saying, kind of in the background also too is each kind of enemy, like these birds here, and like the monkey, which it is good to stay mid-range so he doesn't throw that little hand thingy. But like I was saying, in the background, you know, each enemy also has a kind of active time gauge also too. You really can't, you know, you can't see it, but it is there. But with slow, you can slow down their active gauge. Now, I don't know if it's double time or not, but it does slow them down so they can't do attacks at their normal rate. It's a slower rate, obviously. There's also things like haste, which used in this game, you know, haste is, you know, it speeds up your turns. Well, in this game, it speeds up your active time gauge, and it also speeds up your movement, your movement on screen too. So it's definitely something. It's definitely something I use a lot, because it you know, it helps dodge enemies' attacks. And as you can see, I'm using the rifle here, which is pretty helpful with some enemies that are long distance or long range. And you know, I figure I show that off, but it does take a turn though to switch your weapon. But yeah, with haste, you know, it speeds up his movement on screen, which helps dodge enemies' attacks, and it also helps with the active time, you know, So using slow and haste at the same time is really helpful with dealing with bosses or tough enemies. And definitely in the EX game, they kind of just think that you just know it all off. You're pretty aware of the game if you beat it. So that's where we're at. There's other abilities like there's heal 1, which is kind of it heals small wounds. There's heal 2 that heals, I believe it's 45 HP, and then there's heal 3 which heals 280, but that requires a lot of parasite energy, and once you gain it, that's pretty much the entire parasite barge. But as you level up, you get more parasite energy, so it's not that taxing later in the last bit of the game. I'm trying to think of other ones. There was ones like drawing a blank off the top of my head. There's a very powerful one, but I don't want to give that away yet because we're still very early in the game. I guess I'll discuss more parasite energies or ones that we use later in the game, like heal 2. We just got heal 2. And also too, if you're watching on screen, I am purposely not picking up the junk. Now granted, junk does help you out with acquiring the most powerful weapons in the game. Either the most powerful handgun, the most powerful most powerful rifle, most powerful submachine, the most powerful weapons in the game. But keeping the junk will help you do that. I think I'll explain that. Well, I'm actually in this EX mode. I'm actually not even using the junk, because we get more powerful weapons. But if you kind of save your things, you can actually make stronger weapons. So that's just me. But we're just dolling around Central Park, and this is one of the things that I actually like about Parasite Eve, is that you're not really in a fantasy, as far as an RPG, it's very different now. And even as a survival horror game, it takes a different tone or a different kind of angle to it. And it happens, it's a relative real world, as I keep fighting these snakes again. Stupid snakes. But it's not like Final Fantasy, where it's like in some outrageously fantasy world. It's in New York, and it takes place, it's in Manhattan, so there's only but so many liberties you can do. And I'll use detox here to get rid of this poison. But yeah, now granted, Central Park doesn't look like this. I've been in Central Park, it doesn't look like this. But it is nice that they actually done it. But yeah, Central Park itself, it's really not that bad. You can actually just kind of run right into, it's pretty linear, in terms of places that we need to go, which is a good thing, because if you got really confused later in the game, but as part as day 2 is concerned, and he's kind of blocking our way, but as far as day 2 is concerned, we had all that exposition, and then now we're kind of getting into like the real meat of the game. And I think after this day, it gives you kind of a not really non-linear, but it gives us some side quests to do. But as we can see, we see Eve down there at the stage. It does. Who put a microphone on her? I just like to know. Like, is she just yelling that out, or does she have like a little small microphone that they do? And yes, Christmas does bring everyone together. Sleigh bells ring Are you dead yet? The next part is coming up right now.